Wouldn't it be great if we could have chosen a family that we wanted to be born in? Or wouldn't it be great if the family that we were born in was the perfect family? Well, that does not seem to be the case, and we will see that in the cultural artifact that I've chosen to present to you on today, Madea's Family Reunion. And it's a film that was written and produced by Tyler Perry. And to tell you a little about Tyler Perry, he's a renowned writer, producer, and actor. And he was born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he was born into poverty and raised in a household that was scarred by abuse and emotional abuse, if you will, considering the fact that he was molested by his father. And this left him bitter for many years. However, he fought from a young age to find the strength, the faith, and the perseverance that will later form the foundation of his much acclaimed plays, films, and books and shows. And that's according to his website, tylerperry.com. And to tell you a little about Madea's Family Reunion, it's a sequel to one of his prior productions, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And it centers around a Southern family's matriarch, Madea, who is also played by the actor and producer Tyler Perry. And also in this particular piece, it also revolves around a lady by the name of Victoria, who is played by actress Lynn Whitfield, and she's the mother of two daughters, Lisa, who is played by Rochelle Antes, and Vanessa, who is played by Lisa Arundel Anderson. And Lisa is the daughter. She's engaged to be married, but she's also that daughter that her mother gives preferential treatment. And according to ChristianityToday.com, Vanessa is described as the character who truly overcomes her difficulties and experiences a much-deserved fairy tale ending. And you will hear more about that towards the end of this presentation. In this drama, Perry is critically viewed by the audience in either a positive or negative manner due to his role as an elderly woman. Quote that I said, an elderly woman. And people have differing views regarding this particular role in any of his productions that includes the character Madea. But Madea is the matriarch in the family, as I mentioned before, and most people look up to her. And this drama is considerably an artifact simply because it deals with the reality of a common family as well as portrays values and everyday issues that most people go through on a day-to-day basis. And in this drama is without a doubt that with transparency, spirituality, and family unity, anyone can conquer the odds that life presents to him. And Lisa's engaged to be married to a wealthy investment banker by the name of Carlos. And in this engagement, he's also abusive to her. And she's not happy in the engagement, in the relationship by any means. However, she does this to please her mother. And according to TV.com, her mother is known as a viciously materialistic and status-conscious mother. And so she's made a deal with Carlos to receive a financial return if he marries her daughter, Lisa. So just to please her mom, Lisa, she endures the abuse and the unhappiness in the relationship. Unfortunately, she's still torn between two decisions, and that's living her own life or living the pseudo life that will satisfy her mother. And like Lisa, Vanessa, she has major issues of her own as well. She struggles to conquer the things that have happened to her in her past and the things that her mom has allowed to happen to her. And so she confronts her mother at some point during the movie about the things that have happened to her. However, her mom is lifted up in pride. And she tells her that she will admit that she is wrong in so many words, but she will not apologize. However, Lisa does has a spiritual side to her that will allow her, or that will motivate her on the inside to forgive her mother and to pray for her, even though she is still in pain behind what has happened to her in her past. And there's a guy who wants to love Lisa, but because of all of this, she finds it difficult. And the guy that she meets throughout the drama is Boris Kodjoe, and he plays as the character Frankie. And he's a bus driver who expresses an interest in her. And according to TV Guide, he's described as a good Christian man who paints, likes poetry, loves children, and is hard, though it may be for the wounded Vanessa to believe, not too good to be true. But despite her difficulties of getting beyond her past, she gives him a chance and pursues a relationship with him. And according to Quentin J. Schultz in the book Communicating for Life, when we communicate, we create particular definitions of reality. And that has to do with transparency between Lisa and Vanessa. And I believe that's what, when you look, you view the drama in so many words, that sort of helps the relationship progress between the two of them, because they're transparent with each other. And they learn how to lift each other up in whatever issues that they're dealing with. And as a result of their communication, they're able to share the issues with one another and love and support one another through them. Victoria, who is the mother, once again, she despises the fact that her daughters have a closeness together, and she even accuses Vanessa of being envious of Lisa. But that does not interfere with their relationship with one another, the two sisters. They are even closer because of all of this, and as well as many other reasons. And even though Vanessa is grieved by the fact that her mother mistreated her as a child, she finds it within herself to remain spiritual. And although her mother would not apologize for her mistreatment towards her, she finds it in her heart to forgive her and to pray for her, as I mentioned before. And then there's the family reunion. And the family reunion is at Medea's. She's the host of the family reunion. And for the most part, the majority of the family members, they interact with one another, whether it's through recreational activities or just a meet and greet manner, just as you would in any family reunion or family gathering. And throughout the course of the reunion, Victoria tells Lisa to show Carlos around, which causes Vanessa to intervene. She's standing up for her sister because Lisa, throughout the drama, she acknowledges that she doesn't know how to fight, and so she's not even standing up for herself. She's more of a people pleaser than a self-pleaser. And so Vanessa has to intervene. However, that causes an altercation between her and her mother. And so throughout the reunion, there's the actress Cicely Tyson. She's one of the elder members of the family, and she gathers the family around and gives the family a speech about encouraging one another and just being there for one another, and just encouraging them to be better than what they are. And so that brings about unity in the family, but just by listening to the elderly people impart that wisdom into them that they've carried throughout their lives. And I use this particular point as an example of culture to express the fact that although families have their disagreements, at the end of the day, family is still family, which means that there is nothing that can replace that. And although this drama did not preach a particular gospel or cite any biblical references, it can, in a sense, relate to indirect communication, considering that they were characters who possessed some spiritual wisdom that they can impart to younger generations. And throughout the course of the drama, there were those in the family who knew that they could reach out to seasoned family members, with Madea being one who normally gives family advice. And then Cicely Tyson, as I mentioned, giving a speech about encouraging one another and encouraging them to be better than what they are. And in the book Overhearing the Gospel, Kierkegaard says that because Christ was incognito, even his direct messages were indirect. And what this suggests is that God can speak to people through other people. Even though he may not speak directly to us, he will use another person as that mouthpiece to get his point across. And that's what he did with the elderly people who have that wisdom that they can share with the younger generation. And at the end, towards the end of this scenario, here's the wedding that follows the family reunion. And surprisingly, Lisa, she takes a stand for herself and she decides that she's not going to get married. And so the groom, Carlos, comes over to the house, and when everyone is gone to the chapel or to the site of the wedding, that's when he hits her for the last time because she's standing up for herself. And then she confesses to the crowd at the chapel how he has abused her throughout the course of the engagement. And so she makes a decision to get liberated from this bondage once and for all and to start living her own life. But what was mostly a surprise was that even though she decided not to get married, that did not stop a wedding from taking place, as what was supposed to have been for her ended up being for her sister Vanessa. So the wedding ended up being Vanessa's wedding, unexpectedly, as Frankie surprisingly asked her to marry him. And what I learned from that is that when your enemy is thinking that he is setting a trap for you, sometimes God can use that trap and turn it into a blessing. In so many words, sometimes he'll use your enemy to bless you when they had initially intended to bless someone else for that. They would have to turn around and bless their enemy with the same thing that they had intended to bless the other person with. And so what started out as a bad thing ended up being a fairy tale ending for Vanessa. And to just sum everything up, what one can gain from this is that when one learns to be transparent before God and be honest with themselves and those around them, he can create a more spiritual environment that will cause people to receive them in a greater way. And because we hide behind the mask so often and we don't want people to see the real us, and we try to camouflage, and then that thing begins to fester, as time progresses, and it gets worse, and we just caught up in a cycle. And so that's why transparency is so important in such a typical situation. And as a result of hiding behind the mask, true deliverance is delayed. And however, when true deliverance takes place, there can be more family unity, as members in any given family have seen the hand of God on the lives of their loved ones. In other words, if they see God working in your life and delivering you from the things that you've gone through, then that is something that will just grasp their attention and cause them to believe that God can do the same for them. And I hope that this has been of inspiration to you and may even coerce you or encourage you to look at your own family situation and just evaluate whatever issues you may have in your family, and try to make your family a better family. And once again, this has been a cultural artifact relating to Medea's family reunion. Thank you.